Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for finding time in your calendars and joining us today. My name is Ilya Abramov. I'm a strategic client account manager here at Velvetech, and for over 20 years, we've been providing class-leading software solution to our customers across a variety of industries. As we work with clients and help them deliver software products, we realize that results depends on how well teams collaborate, and especially on how well you integrate your team with an external one. And then that's why today we've decided to talk about efficient ways and best practices to onboard your new external team and incorporate it into the project. And it really doesn't matter if you're in the beginning or in the middle of it. And on top of that, we'll also go over the key challenges that you might face along the way. We have our speaker with us, Oksana Sperling. She's a senior project manager at Velvetech. With more than 5 years of hands-on experience in software project management, she helps clients speed up the delivery of software products, and she makes sure that outcomes fully match projects and business needs. And before passing the microphone to Oksana, I'd like to quickly mention that if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in your Zoom chat. We'll have time for covering them at the end of our webinar. And now, over to our speaker. Hi, Oksana. we haven't talked today yet, so it's nice to see you. I'm so excited to start the webinar. Are we good to go?
Hello, Ilya. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the great intro. Yeah, we are good to start. Let me quickly take your screen and let's move on with our topic today. Ilya, thank you for announcement. As you can all see, our topic today is actually accelerating product delivery, how to smoothly onboard and integrate an external team. So let's get started. Why does this topic become more and more important today? Well, there are a couple of reasons here. First of all, we can see global trends in software product development, and we see the companies start seeking ways to optimize their expenses while keeping or even improving the quality of their products. You can see a couple of examples on the screen, but I will add a couple more. Over 80% of IT leaders in cybersecurity want to outsource this segment to the specialized providers, whereas about 70% of companies are either implemented or already implemented robotic process automation to foster the outsourcing results. Also, we see a worldwide prediction and a trend that the disruptive technologies and innovations lead to a more competitive market today. And specifically, we can say that around 80% of enterprises will use AI-assisted services to manage their resources and data. But out of this 80%, only 30 or less will achieve full value because the rest will lack IT skills that are needed to use such services. We can see that 40% of large enterprises will redistribute IT budgets due to adoption of IT integrated as a service bundles in the areas of security, cloud platforms, and much more. Finally, we can see that there is a global trend on collaboration across industries, and we see that quite a lot of industries are already digitalized, whereas the remaining, even if they don't have any strong connection to IT services, they have really strong potential to become such in the upcoming years. You may ask me, like, if there is so much opportunity, why isn't everybody using it? Well, we understand that most of us is only learning how to partner. We make mistakes, which are more or less common in certain cases. And we think that actually such partnerships will never work as intended before, as intended. Among common challenges are the communication problems that may occur between your in-house team and external team, specifically if there are language barriers or differences in the time zones. One of the examples that I can think of based on my practice is the miscommunication between the stakeholder who said, "Oh, that's a great feature. We need to implement it sometime." Meaning that it needs to be implemented as soon as possible. However, the external team didn't understand the urgency around that and thought, well, we can make it actually sometime. This led to certain miscommunication, and the easiest thing to do was just to ask the stakeholder, when exactly do you want it? Do you want us to include it into the upcoming release? And this will make it crystal clear for the stakeholders and for everyone collaborating that by default, nothing becomes urgency until it is set up as priority from the decision maker. Another challenge that you may run into is cultural or work style difference. Let's assume that an external team got used to thinking through the architecture of the app before even starting the implementation. This kind of can be in conflict with the work style where teams use workarounds to quicker deliver, and they, as a result, they mitigate the quality of their future application. Also, insufficient quality control may be quite a challenge, especially if you don't have any strong tools to control this quality. And this actually can be represented in too much control and at the same time in lack of control. With too much control, you can simply forget what's your overall goal and just to suffer from micromanagement, which will not add any productivity to the daily operations of your in-house or external team. Also, we need to mention intellectual property pitfalls. It is especially important to manage this challenge and this risk when it comes to two companies working in different countries with different legal regulations. So you need to be sure at the very beginning you are aligned with your external team on how the intellectual property is managed. Also, we may run into issues of project management flow. Well, it can be quite a challenge when you need to manage actually two teams while focusing on the overall goal that those two teams are dealing with. As a result of the above, we may find ourselves in the situation where lack of trust is between the external team and in-house team, just because there was really a lot of problems that I've just highlighted above. So what you need to do is actually mitigate the risk that those challenges will adversely impact what you already have. And this can give you much more benefits that you can achieve through this partnership or collaboration. However, what do you expect to achieve? First of all, obviously, it is access to specialized skills and expertise of the external team. Whenever you find a need to cover certain skills that are missing in your team, the external team can help you achieve this. One of the examples that I can provide from my practice is the project where we had as a partner, we had the design team, and they reached out to us. They actually had the client who wanted to build an app. They were really good in building UI UX, in building the prototypes, but they didn't have the capacity to implement the application. So we decided to collaborate on that. And from our side, business analysts and developers were collaborating really closely with the design team, whereas the designers were making the prototypes based on details that analysts provide, and those prototypes were approved with the client. After that, we actually developed a pretty good app. Another benefit that you can get is cost saving. Here, it's worth mentioning that you can ensure that the costs are saved on your side when you understand that hiring an external team for your goal can be more beneficial for you than actually training your in-house team. One of the examples that I can give here is CRM customization. Since we at Velvetech are quite experienced and we had a lot of CRM customization projects, it was clear when our clients reached to us that training their own in-house teams will be quite expensive for them, and hiring somebody as a full-time employee may not also save any resource. So by hiring us as an external team to deal with the CRM customization, they actually saved some funds. Scalability is another option that you can get through such partnerships. If you have a really strong in-house development team, what you can do by adding more team members from the outside is actually deliver the product faster or at larger scale. Also, we can see that increased efficiency can be one of the benefits, because ultimately, when you hire external team, they can provide a really fresh perspective and new ideas to the project, which can raise the efficiency of both overall flow of working on the software and specifically give some additional experience to your in-house team. Risk management is something that can also be treated as a benefit, especially when external team has their own risk management tools, practices, and they, based on their previous experience on the other projects, can contribute to your existing flows and make sure that the risks are fully managed and covered, and your in-house teams are aware of such risks during their work as well. One more thing is improved quality that you can get through external partnerships. What we can point here is that usually strong experienced external team will have their own QA engineers, QA standards and protocols. If you don't have such in your company, you can gain this as a benefit together with the external team who has such protocols. They can introduce their own tools for managing the quality. You can see the reports that the QA teams are building throughout the project, and you can control the quality much better. As a result of the above, we can see that faster time to market is the overall benefit that you can get through engaging an external team. First, you can actually save time by scaling your development team. And second, you can use the resources of the external team, like infrastructure resources and some tools that they already have in place, so that your in-house team could start on the actual development quicker. I've named and described just a few most common benefits, and if you see a lack in any of points, like be it in-house, lack of in-house expertise, or time or budget constraint or limited resource, well, most likely you will benefit from engaging an external team of professionals. But also, let's take a look at some real-life examples where engaging an external team would be good. Perhaps you will find your company situation in one of them. One example would be a startup. Let's assume that you're a small startup with a pretty good development and management skill set. You have a brilliant idea that you want to pushed to the market as quickly as possible. In this case, what can you set as your key goal? Most likely it will be speed. If you understand that you are pretty good in technology, your idea is groomed enough, what you need to do is actually onboard the team members who will help you develop the MVP quicker. Another option for a startup would be engaging an external team to cover just a part of their flow. For example, if they see a need in strong experienced designer working on the UI UX, because UI UX is something that is mission critical in their app to achieve success in the market, they can engage the designers while dealing with the development themselves. Another example would be mature business. Let's assume that you have a strong team to cover your infrastructure need, development, and even maybe QA. In this case, one of the options that you can think of is how to improve the productivity of your in-house team. This can be accomplished in two ways. First of all, if you hire external team with the developers and some other capacities inside, they can actually help your in-house development team to understand how to improve their quality of work, how to improve the speed of their work by using like collaborative development, seeing where the major problems are. At the same time, we can think of another option to control what can be improved in your in-house team by hiring the group of experts who will actually make certain reviews of your processes in the company or even in the development flow. With such expert on board, you can clearly understand like what KPIs are problematic in the development process. And they can give the recommendations on the group level or individual level. Group level will be worth it, specifically if the experts understand that you lack some critical positions in your team and they're not covered at all, which leads to certain problems with the productivity. Another example for mature business would be that you have your in-house solution and you want to build something for the external market. In this case, you may need to scale your in-house team with additional teams or team members. And while your internal team, in-house team will work on the maintaining and extending the existing software since they're professionals in it, the external team may work on the outside part of your scope and actually build something for the external market. Another example is kind of general, where your business has a gap in certain technical skills. In this case, all you need to do is find a person or people with relevant experience and knowledge. And when they have such a proven experience in something that you seek, you will be able to fill this gap. Common examples may include blockchain development or IoT or machine learning, where theoretical knowledge may be not sufficient to achieve success on the market, or probably you will run into significant overheads to complete your project without proper experience. Selecting the right outsourcing partner is really critical, but it heavily relies on what you achieve to accomplish. And we'll understand that everyone is seeking for an experienced team with high level of personal responsibility and good reputation. But the thing is that depending on your key goal, experience may be treated pretty differently. Let's say you are seeking someone with the domain experience. In this case, you'll need an industry expert to perform the research, competitor analysis to understand what is fit for market. At the same time, you may need someone with technology experience, and if you feel that you lack certain technical knowledge, you'd better focus on someone who fills this gap. At the same time, you may seek someone to cover the full development cycle. And what's important here, you need to be pretty sure that the company or the team that you select will be able to cover such service level, and you need to agree on that before you actually start your collaboration. However, regardless of whom you're seeking, you need to check their proficiency level during the selection of the partner. Here are the couple of tips that you can use to perform your selection. First of all, check the website and social media activity. Is this company active? Do you see activity in their blog? Do you see updates in their case studies? Second, you need to confirm that they have relevant experience and references by checking positive client reviews, whether they have them or not. And you need to clarify the service package in selection process, just because, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be clear that some service that you are seeking, the partner needs to support it. Finally, evaluate the proactivity and collaboration of external team during the selection process itself. You may need to cover a couple of live meetings, but you need to be sure that the engagement of an external team starting from very first touch is sufficient for you. They need to be proactive. They need to use their experience to suggest any ideas, to guide you, and you should be pretty sure that you're comfortable and you understand that the way they guide you is transparent and manageable. All right, let's assume that you have found your dream team. So what should be next? Well, we need to do some mutual effort to make this collaboration successful. Let me describe in more detail what we treat as essential in building such collaboration. First of all, you need to once again redefine your goal, and based on this goal to agree with the team. What is their service level? What is their engagement model? And how deep they need to be engaged based on your overall goal. Again, based on this goal, you need to set clear expectation as to what you want the team to accomplish. Basically, most of the external teams will be quite flexible in the engagement model that they can suggest, but overall, there are like two basic options that you will need to decide from. First is fully managed team. Using such engagement model will leave the burden from you as the decision maker on the overall strategy. The external team with the fully managed service can take all their organizational activity and with due proficiency, they will free you up for the strategic goals, while the external team will take care on the ongoing delivery, planning the milestones, and making sure that they are delivered on time based on the overall priorities that you set. At the same time, you may want to just extend your in-house team. In this case, more or less standard protocol that you have in your in-house development team will work. I need to mention that based on my experience, this can be more time-consuming because the external team will need to get acquainted with your protocols, get used to how you actually perform the development. But it is a really good strategy when it comes to building something with vague requirements, where you need to define what's needed for the market, what's needed for inside your product, by making quick experiments, by brainstorming, and actually extending your in-house team with additional team members will facilitate such experiments, building proof of concept and so on, because they can work together and share the experience with your in-house team. So the next point is that you need to set up communication protocol. What's included here? First of all, it's roles and responsibilities. You need to clearly define who is responsible for which area, who is the single point of contact in certain questions. It needs to be transparent to both the in-house team and external team, because it needs to be clear for them who actually makes the decision. Based on our experience, when there is a single project champion for the project where you collaborate with external team, the external team members may give certain recommendations, make research, suggest technical approaches, and so on. But ultimately, this project champion or key decision maker is someone who has a bigger picture in mind, and he will need to approve or reject certain decisions based on the overall picture that he has. Communication channels is something that you need to define. Be it email or quick messengers or any other tools, you need to be clear in which situations you will use this or that communication channel. Our best practice is the following. We associate certain communication tool with a certain type of activity or type of artifact. And when it comes to email, it's more for like regular updates or summary of any activities that the external team is working on. At the same time, instant messengers is something that we use for covering really urgent questions or comments. And we always keep in mind that it's great to have knowledge base where all the project artifacts are kept, to have them accessible for all the team by all the team members. Another point here is time zones. You and your external partner needs to be clear about the time zones you are working in, and you need to understand the business hours coverage of your external partner. In case you have some duty support activities or something similar outside of these hours, it needs to be explicitly agreed upon when you understand what's your collaboration protocol. Escalation process is something important too. Logically, this is kind of extension of all the communication agreement that you already have. And when it comes to escalation, you need to be sure you understand whom to escalate, in what cases, and via which communication tools, if they are somehow different from the tools that you agreed upon for the regular activities. Finally, tools and technology is something that you need to make sure the teams are aligned on, because in certain cases, the external teams may want to use their standard tools and build something on known technologies. So you need to be sure that we're aligned and are using the same tools and technologies, or at least that those tools are compatible with each other. One of the example, and it's really something simple that I can give, is using ecosystem of external team and the ecosystem of in-house team for working in Jira and using GitLab. During one of our projects, we actually used our own software, but then there was a need to migrate the data from one Jira to another, and it was pretty smooth, just because we understood that the historical data is compatible and it can be easily migrated. Another point is about documentation and reporting. You need to be clear about what documents or artifacts are needed on your project and what you expect from an external team. Again, it may be different based on what kind of project you have. For smaller projects, there should be enough just standard project plan and risk management metrics, probably release notes for the end users and the regular status update. But when it comes to more complicated projects where you have a lot of integrations, you have multiple teams working on the overall functionality, you need to be clear that the set of documents may be much wider, and those can include the list of stakeholders to understand to whom which type of documentation you send. And at the same time, there may be pretty complicated release plans when it comes to collaboration of multiple teams on a single release. Finally, since we are talking a lot about productivity and acceleration of your development, you need certain kind of KPIs to track the progress of your external team. And here we can point the most essential KPIs, which include the following. First of all, it's on-time delivery, and these metrics will help you understand how often the external team delivers the functionality that is in scope on time. You may see any potential issues if there is a strong feeling that the team is not delivering on time. And one of the tools to mitigate this risk and to achieve the desired speed and delivery rate is using retrospectives to understand why the team is running with delays and what needs to be done to actually speed up the process. Another thing that you need to track anyhow is quality of their work. This can be done by comparing the overall number of bugs or issues reported versus the actual new functionality development. It is important that you understand it in the long run and check each time when the quality is below certain benchmark that you see based on the overall progress. You need to understand what's resulting into such issues with quality. Another point is productivity. This is literally how much work an external team can deliver during a certain time period. It is somehow close to on-time delivery, but it actually raises the overall capacity of the team. And you need to be really careful with this metric, especially during the transition periods. Let's assume that you have overall productivity for the project, and you see that there is certain discrepancy from what you expect. This may be caused by certain transition activities that the team is going through. It can be different changes in the processes that you have for your software development, or it may be additional technical requirements to the deliverables. Let's assume some kind of backend service that the ability needs to be compliant with one more set of certain standards. This may result in a slowdown of the team with less productivity, but you need to make it clear and discuss with the team, is it something temporary, and to strive to get the same level of productivity after these transition changes are over. Communication is something that can be treated as a KPI, especially when it comes to working in collaboration by in-house team and external team. Here it is important to track, like, what's the overall rate of your discussions versus the actual product development, because ultimately we strive to deliver the product faster and not to just talk. The exception may be when you are in discovery and definition phase, because here the communication is critical to understand what you are actually building. But overall, if there are two development teams and they spend like more than expected on communication, you need to be clear why. Some of the examples may include like understanding the overall feedback or approaches to work between the two teams. If you see that there is like lack of productivity in regard to communication, probably you need to adjust your communication protocols. Cost effectiveness is something that is also important. You can track it by overall spendings that are associated with the product that is built collaboratively by you and external team. And if you see any overheads, you need to clearly understand like what's the reason for such overheads. It can include infrastructure overheads on your ecosystem, and probably you can try to reduce them if you see that there is like too much comparing with the scale of your project and expected profit. Or it can be ineffectiveness due to changes in the scope, and in this case you need to plan accordingly. For example, you may stick to your original scope, or you may check out the features that are treated as nice to have and move them, for example, to another release when you are sure you can pay for the development and it will add the value to your end users. Finally, customer satisfaction is something that you can track as well. For external users, it is worth to use automated tools like churn rate, meaning how many users stopped using your application within a certain defined time period. And at the same time, you can track if there are like your in-house end users, you can ask them through certain kind of questionnaire or feedback form how good they are, how satisfied they are with the results of the work. Or probably if they work together with the external team, you can also ask about their general satisfaction with working with this team. Now let's take a look at some examples of successful collaboration between the in-house development teams and outsourced companies. I will start with the widely known brands. You may not know, but some of them are using external teams to add the quality to their work. One of such companies is Slack. They engaged the external team of designers to build the UI UX for the application, and we can see that the result is really outstanding. The companies like Twitter, Airbnb, and Uber are outsourcing their DevOps activities while focusing on adding value to their end customers. Kia and some other companies in automotive industry are collaborating with external teams to build AI-based solutions for their cars. And as a result, we can see really cool cars, which is the Kia expertise, and at the same time, really user-friendly AI-based solutions inside those cars, which is the expertise of their external partners. We at Velvetech also have a really great portfolio of successful collaborations. One of them is Supervest. Initially, Supervest decided to partner with us thanks to our expertise in building SaaS solutions. And they reached out with the following idea. They had in-house investment module, and they wanted to separate it into the SaaS platform for the external market. Since there were already certain IT systems in their custom-built solution, Velvetech's involvement was really critical to understand what's already built, to be able to build SaaS solution on top of that. And as they often do, certain challenges arose because this was unknown code, but ultimately the outcome of the partnership was really great, and Supervest obtained their brand new SaaS solution. Another case is building long-term care booking platform. One of our clients reached out to us with the idea for healthcare-focused project. It was a pretty disruptive idea for the market, and it was first on the US market at all. So the company tried to address one of the critical points in long-term care for seniors, which is a lack of information, transparency, and guidance in booking certain care services. While the client had already outlined the clickable prototypes, they needed us to implement the actual application. And since medical sector is heavily regulated with such standards as HIPAA, it was really important to find a partner who will be familiar with these standards and could use their experience to build a HIPAA compliant application. Ultimately, collaboration with Velvetech resulted in achieving this ultimate goal, and the idea successfully converted into the real application, which was released to the market. One more case includes more than 8 years of partnership with the company called Insurian. This is a really great example of a lengthy collaboration, and the initial request was since Insurian lacked the capacity to accommodate all their IT projects, they reached out to us to share certain projects, and while their in-house team was working on one set of projects, they asked Velvetech to build another part and to make their ideas a reality. So as you can see, there is a really wide variety of how you can engage outside team based on your needs, and each business, each requirement will be unique in this case. So your goal is to find the partner who will do what you need in the most optimal manner. And this is exactly the value proposition of Velvetech. So to recap, what's important in building potentially successful collaboration? First of all, you need to understand what's the goal for you. You need to stick to this goal. You need to inspire the external team with this goal and with the overall product that you are developing to get the full engagement of both teams and to get really great results. At the same time, you need to make sure that responsibility is shared but not mixed, because it needs to be clear who is responsible for which area, and actually what each team can add to your project to make it most optimal, most successful, and to get this maximum of benefits from this partnership. Finally, we all understand, and I hope you understand after this webinar, is that success is built on being organized, expert, and caring. This is something that you can achieve with a professional external team through the protocols of collaboration, through your expertise and expertise of the external team, and through really strong passion around what you do. If you want to learn more, please check out our free guide for choosing a trusted software development partner. You will find it really useful. Thank you very much. That's everything I wanted to tell you today, and we have time for our Q&A session. Ilya, back to you.
Yeah, wow. Thank you, Oksana. Really, thank you for sharing this information and your experience and thoughts on the topic. Yes, as you said, we will go ahead and take some time for questions now. It looks like we have a few here, so let's see.
Yeah,
From
checking
which
them out.
one?
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
From
Yeah,
which one
all
would you
right.
like
Let
to
us
be?
capture one from Anna.
From London,
Anna,
yeah.
thank you very much for your thank you very much for your question. I will read it and then reply. The question is how to ensure the external team is aligned with the product vision, and are there any red flags in this alignment? Well, I would say that it depends on what you treat as your product vision, because based on our experience, the vision could be from one of the customer who came to us. They said, I have a vision, and literally it was like one sentence or a couple of sentences outlining the general idea what they want to be implemented. In this case, I would say that we have not that much information, and the green flag to select a certain team as a partner would be their full engagement to understand what's behind those couple of sentences. If they're engaged, if they generate any ideas and help you understand what's the true competitive advantage of your future product, what are the critical points in building it, and so on. This might be pretty strong team that you need to include into your selection process. Overall, I would feel like product vision can be extended if the team has experience in what you are asking for. If they don't, though, there are a lot of abilities to research. And if you see like passion and needed experience overall, I would say that there are, well, almost no red flags except for understanding that the team is not involved in any kind of discovery together with you as the visioneer in this case.
Yeah.
I hope it answers the question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question.
Yeah, I want to check out
Who
something
will be the
from
next? Maybe
Jonah.
Jonah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably Jonah. So here we have a question. What are some best practices to manage access to sensitive information? Well, that is a cool question. Thank you, Jonah. Thank you. This is something that needs to start at the very beginning of your collaboration. Well, even before, while you're selecting the partner. I would say that it depends on what kind of sensitive information you are talking about, because overall the external team can suggest that you sign the non-disclosure agreement. This is the first layer that you for sure must have, regardless of any other things that you will research later on. If we're talking the security of the sensitive information inside the application, I would say again, it can be regulated by certain standards. Like in the example with HIPAA compliance app, it was critical that the medical records are kept safely. So depending on like complexity of your project, on the area in which you are building, for sure the team needs to be aware with the standard regulations, and they need to show to you. So first of all, it's important that you ask your team, your potential team, this question. If they understand, if they refer to such regulations, again, this is a really good start to dive deeper into what exactly you need to secure such sensitive information.
Great. So go ahead for the next question.
Yeah, I hope. So another question is how much time it usually takes to establish productive communication between the teams? Well, I would say, again, I will refer to the previous example with the product vision, which is like two sentences long. If we're talking about the engagement from the very beginning, it will mean that the external team will not need to dive deep into what you already have. because all you have is an idea. And engagement can be as quick as you agree on the high-level priorities, high-level scope on the project. But if we're talking about certain teams that will be onboarded to cover the needs of your existing product, or probably they need to get acquainted with what you already have, these can take longer, obviously. And you need to understand that, well, actually, it can start from a couple of days to down like couple of months if we're talking about reviewing the code, reviewing the documentation. So this is probably a good question again for the team to understand, to the external team, like how much time do you need to onboard. Usually, a good team of professionals will include it into the estimates that they give you, like we need this amount of time to be onboarded, and you can actually discuss around those figures.
Yeah, thank you. I hope it was very useful for Eric.
Yeah, thank you very much. I
Yeah,
cannot see the other questions. Oh, I actually do.
yeah,
There is one
as I
from
see,
Jessica Baker. Yeah.
Jessica Baker, yes, the last question, as I see.
Yeah, and luckily we have time for that.
Yeah, great.
Jessica, thank you. Thank you very much for your attention and for this question. So we're talking about providing the feedback. The question is, what feedback you find constructive and actionable? Do you have any examples from practice? Well, if we're talking about feedback to the external team, let's assume you are already collaborating, and you as a decision maker or stakeholder of the process will need to provide feedback to the external team. I would say that we had really different sources of information. The most constructive, I would say that it is during the ongoing process of your collaboration, be it regular meetings with the external team, or probably any means of communication. You can always tell your team, like, I feel, or we're too slow. I feel we need to adjust our roadmap. I feel that we need to work on productivity because I see like earlier we worked better. For me, as the manager of such external team, the more detail I get, the easier it will be to work with certain feedback that is provided. If we're talking about positive feedback, yeah, we also like it. But if it's something negative, we need to make sure that the details are crystal clear. And usually such feedback gives a start. It actually triggers the process of rethinking what protocols are not optimal, what processes of building the collaboration need to be adjusted, because ultimately, if it is a long-term relationship, we will see that as we move on with certain projects, the requirements to the communication, the frequency, the way we collaborate needs to be different. It needs to be in line with each milestone that you work on together as two teams.
Yeah, so
All right. I hope
I
it
think that's
helps.
all.
Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
questions.
thank you.
Yeah, it
Thank you
seems
again.
so. Seems so.
Thank you again for your experience and thoughts on that topic, for the answer for our questions, and thank you so much for all of your questions. I'm glad we had the time to answer them all. However, if you think of anything later on, feel free to visit our LinkedIn page and leave your question in the comment section of our newsletter. It's called Velvetech's IT Talks, and it comes out every 2 weeks in the form of a Q&A with our experts. So, I think you
Thank you
can
so much.
leave
It was
your
a pleasure for
yes.
me. I hope it was a pleasure for you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. And we appreciate you being with us today and hope you enjoyed our webinar. Stay tuned for our next event and check your inbox for an invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.